First, for today's orientation, first I will give a brief review of the first session. So I think it's okay because some of you have already attended that event, as well as some other students who attended online. Okay, since we do have online participants, I will have to be standing here all the time. Okay, so today is the second session of our Capstone Orientation. Our focus will be on IRB review, your Capstone and IRB. But as I said, at first I'm going to give you a review of the first session to talk about what you're expected to produce, throughout the semester. And then we will focus on IRB-related topics, the CD training program, Rutgers IRB system, and your Capstone IRB review. Okay, so for those who are participating online right now, if you experience any technical issues, please contact Josh. So he will be helping you fix any technical issues that might arise during the orientation. And you can also type questions into a box on the right of your screen, and I will try to address if it's a quick, answer, then I will answer all remaining questions at the end after the orientation. Then just so you know that we are sharing the documents, the PowerPoint documents for today's orientation, as well as the PowerPoint document that we used in December for the first session. You should be able to find those documents at the SPAA website. All right, so just a brief review of the first session. So this is an overview of the Capstone project. You understand what is a Capstone project because all MP students are expected to do an independent individual research project for the Capstone. And throughout the Capstone semester, you are expected to complete these, tasks. First, we ask that each of you identify a topic for your Capstone project. Okay, this topic could be about a public organization, a nonprofit organization. It's about a public program, social welfare program, and it could be a public policy, a policy issue. Then we understand that the topic you identify for your Capstone tend to be very broad. So then we ask that you, based on the Capstone, the broader topic, you develop several specific, doable, answerable research questions for your Capstone. All right, then you need to do a lot of reading. You need to read a lot on the topic that you select for your Capstone, okay? And you need to review the literature and synthesize the existing knowledge to provide a literature review as part of your Capstone report. Then you need to determine the data information that you're going to use, because we do require students to do data analysis. We do not accept a Capstone project that only has literature review. That is, if you only review the existing knowledge and provide a summary of whatever you have read on the topic, that is not an acceptable Capstone project. We ask you to do data analysis on your own. So you need to select appropriate data, identify the data sources, specify the data collection methods, as well as analytical methodologies that you will be using to analyze the data information you will be collecting. Then you need to develop recommendations based on your data analysis results. That's I would say the primary or the key production of the project. And finally, you need to complete a written report as well as deliver an oral presentation to not only your class, but to SPAA community and even Rutgers community. So you can invite your friends, your colleagues, your family to attend the final Capstone presentation because it's open to the Rutgers community. So these are the things that you are expected to do throughout the semester. Okay, so what you should really be doing during the first few weeks of the semester. Well, actually next week will be the first week of the semester, but it's never too early to get started with a capstone project, right? So first, as I said, you need to identify a topic for your capstone project. Typically, this topic is broad. You can say I'm interested in public education, I'm interested in public health, I'm interested in nonprofit financial management, right? But those are very broad. So you need to do a lot of reading. You read a lot on whatever topic you selected. So while you do your reading, I would suggest you pay attention to these, questions like what research questions are being addressed in existing research, and what are the data and the methods that are being used by prior researchers when they were trying to address these questions, and what are some of the questions that actually interest you most, and what are some of the questions that you could further develop for future exploration. So then the third step, this is very important, is for you to determine whether you would have access to the data that you are going to use for analysis for your capstone project. The data could be, either a existing secondary data that you can rely on. You don't have to collect the data yourself, or if you want, you can collect original data on your own. It doesn't matter which type of data you're going to use, but at least you should have access to the data, okay? So if the answer to the question whether I would have access to the data is yes, then congratulations, you can move forward to formulate your specific research questions for the capstone project and start your focused literature review. However, if, oftentimes it happens that the answer to this question is no, I'm not sure whether I'm able to find the data that I can use, or I really don't know, or I really cannot find the data that actually is going to work for my topic, then I would say that you go back to select another topic, a backup topic, because as I said, you will have to do data analysis as part of your capstone project. We will not allow you to submit something that does not have your own data analysis. So this is very important. I hope that you could have a backup topic for your capstone project if you are not very sure about the data availability for your primary or first choice topic. And well, this is a question that I was oftentimes asked. What are some of the forms of a capstone project, right? If this is not something that you have done before, okay. So here are some, a list of the different forms that your capstone project can take, like program evaluation. This is one of the most commonly, adopted form of capstone project. If you do an evaluation of a program housed in a government agency or nonprofit organizations, this is it. Or you can do a case study. You can study a single case, typically a certain organization or a program, and sometimes it can be comparative case study where you study more than one case. So if multiple cases are involved, it's comparative case study. And if it's a policy paper, then it's policy assessment. You evaluate a public policy. Then we also have students do research type of paper, where students can do either a quantitative research paper where they try to use statistical analysis to solve some problems to test a research hypothesis, And it could be qualitative as well. You conduct interviews, find answers to certain qualitative questions. It could be a mix of methods as long as you have the time to collect both quantitative and qualitative, data. However, I want you to understand that sometimes and oftentimes your capstone project takes on more than one form. For example, if you do a program evaluation, then it's very likely that it is a case study because it's, you focus on a particular program, which is a single case for you, right? Okay. So in terms of the format of your capstone paper or capstone report, we ask that you include all these components or sections in your final capstone paper. These would include, title page, table of contents, executive summary. Then the main body of the paper would be introduction to the topic, your literature review, a review of the existing knowledge on your topic, then the methods or design part of your paper, then your data analysis and analytical results, then finally the recommendations and the conclusions. But we always ask the students to provide references whenever they submit a paper. Doesn't matter if it's the final paper or maybe the section papers that you will be asked to submit throughout the semester to a capstone professor. Whenever you submit paper, please provide references and also appendices if they are available, like charts and tables and figures. Okay, I think that was just a quick review of the first session. If for those who were not able to attend that session. So starting this page, we'll switch focus to IRB and IRB related topics. So basically, I will talk about city training program, Rutgers IRB, and how you evaluate your capstone to see whether you need to do IRB review on your own. Okay, so IRB stands for Institutional Review Board. This is this is the program that we have on Rutgers campus. The primary purpose or objective of this program is to provide support and services to help research staff, faculty members, and students on Rutgers campuses who will be conducting research that might involve interaction with human beings during the research process, to protect those human beings who might be part of our research projects. So for now, all MPA students are required to complete this collaborative IRB training initiative program, because we believe that it is important for our students, as potential future researchers, to understand the importance of ethics in conducting research. Okay, so we ask that you complete the basic course of the city training so that you will have some fundamental understanding of the ethics in research or ethical research. And if you see yourself continuing doing research, after your MPA program, then you probably will have to complete a refresher course every 3 years after, but you need to do the initial basic course, in order to complete your capstone, to complete your MPA degree. And because we have multiple IRB offices that actually are responsible for different disciplinary areas, and our School of Public Affairs Administration actually students should select Rutgers Arts and Science IRB, do not select other IRB categories like maybe Health IRB, which is not appropriate for our school. The detailed instructions actually are at Rutgers website, so this is the link you can use. So, because for those who actually have never been exposed to this topic, I would like to walk you guys briefly through the city training process. Okay, so once you are on this website, Aura Rutgers EDU City, there will be a link that you can click, which will direct you to this website, because this is the institution that is partnering with Rutgers University to provide training for research staff, faculty, and students at Rutgers University. So this is the website that you're going to use. Don't panic, just because it's not Rutgers, but it's, that is the correct site. So these are the steps that you can just follow through. I believe that we do have a few students, at least in this classroom, have already, completed the program and obtained the certificate, right? So correct me if, I'm wrong or there is any, typos, mistakes in these instructions, but I think they are good. So this is the website that I just showed. And you just find Rutgers because, across the country, so many universities across the country partner with this institution to provide a training for their students and faculty and research staff members. So select our university and enter your personal information to create an account at this website. For basic course, it's free, so you do not have to pay, but for certain advanced courses, probably a fee is charged, but for basic course, you don't have to pay anything. Then once you complete the registration, you can get started with the training, because the training is 100% self-paced, but it is doable to complete the training within 1 or 2 days. If you want to do it, you can do it. And after you complete the training, right, you should obtain a certificate. And those two-page, that is the two-page certificate in PDF. That is the document that your capstone professor will ask you to upload to your whatever Blackboard or Canvas in order to receive grade on, just the city training part of the capstone requirement. So I attached my certificate just for your reference. So this is the right documents that you upload to receive grade on the city training. All right. So any questions so far on city training program? Okay. Okay. So you might ask why I need to do this city training, right? As I just said, that the purpose is for you to have some basic understanding of how to conduct research ethically, especially when our research would very likely involve interaction with human beings. Okay. So for your capstone research, it is likely that you would like to collect data information on your own. For example, if you wanted to conduct interviews with program administrators in a nonprofit organization, that that your research would involve interaction with human beings, because you are asking information that is going to be provided by human being as part of your research project. So in that case, for any type of research that might involve interaction with human subjects, and that potentially would generate more than minimal risk to human subjects, then those research projects actually would be subject to Rutgers IRB review. And one of the required actions you as the researcher is to complete the city training. So this is something that you will have to do, okay, if you do IRB. Okay, then just this was a big, change. You probably are not aware, but Rutgers IRB has recently launched the IRB website. So that is all the application or the IRB review actually will be through this system. Instead, in previous semesters, we apply for IRB review through emails. But nowadays, it's everything online. So this is a new system that it might take you some time. It might take everybody some extra time to navigate, to get familiar with. Okay, so different levels of IRB review depending on the topic of your research and the content, the scale of the data collection. There are different types of IRB reviews. The most strict is the full board IRB review. This is when more than minimal risk to subjects could potentially be generated, and but I do not see that our students are very likely to conduct a research that would fit into this type of IRB review. But unless you are collecting data information from minors, from prisoners, so we will say that try not to select a topic that would require you to collect data information about or from minors or prisoners, because you will have to go through the full board IRB review, which takes much longer time than other types of IRB reviews. Then expedited review is less strict, but still it takes longer than the exempt type, right? The exempt type review, because most of my students actually, if they will have to do IRB review, they do exempt. That is, although we conduct interviews, we talk with people, we collect information from people, but our research project will not pose any potential risk to the human subjects involved in our research project, or because all the information are anonymous. We do not collect identifying information, etc., and we follow the procedure that would guarantee that the data information is strictly for the research purpose for the Capstone project, and all data information collected will be destroyed permanently after the Capstone project is complete. So these are the three different types of IRB review, and I believe your Capstone professors actually will have more detailed discussion of these topics with you in your Capstone sessions. Yes, I see someone have a question.
Yes. So this isn't the first time I've heard a professor advise against collecting data from minors or prisoners. Now, I haven't had a hard answer on this yet, but are you advising against, or can we simply say that the review process takes longer than the duration of our semester, and we should not do it? Or are you just simply advising against because it may take longer?
Well, that's a good question, because I believe it's important, because I should have pointed out, because our capstone is only one semester long, right? And so it's just 10 to 12 weeks, because we have presentations at the end. So it's only 10 to 12 weeks that we will have to complete the entire project, from topic determination to data collection to data analysis to write up, right? So I just want to be realistic, because a complete capstone is a good capstone. If you are not able to complete within the time frame, then it's not a good capstone. So if we take into consideration the IRB review process, if the IRB review process would take longer than we can accept for our capstone semester, then no, I would say no, just because the review process is so long, you are not going to complete a capstone within 1 semester. I'm not saying that that is not a good capstone, that is not a good research topic. Probably that is not a good capstone research topic. Well, thank you for that question. Okay, so this is a big question. Do I need to do IRB review on my own for my capstone project? Who's going to make this decision, right? I think your capstone professor should make the decision together with you, so that we ask that each student should discuss or talk with their capstone professor early in the semester if they wish to collect any primary data. Usually use secondary existing data information. It would be safe. You do not have to go through the IRB process, but we encourage you to talk with your professor to find out what options you have, okay, on this. Okay, but then I have a good news to share with you. We have been doing this for quite a few semesters, and it works with some students. So we have this course level IRB approval. What does it mean? Well, basically, it means that you will be covered by course level IRB approval, but you will have to follow certain, certain rules, okay? And it only applies to students who select to work on program evaluation. Okay, so we provide an oral consent script that you can use for interviews if you want to interview program administrators in either government agency or nonprofit organizations. And we also provide a model interview guide where we provide, I believe, about 10 interview questions that you can use for your interviews, okay? And but if you use the provided standardized material documents, then you are covered by course level IRB approval. You don't have to do your own IRB review. Although you are collecting data information from a human being. But if you wish to use the data collected this way beyond the fulfillment of the capstone project, then you will have to go back to IRB for their approval. But I think probably that is not the case with most of you guys. Okay, so I have, again, attached some of the information here so that you have some ideas of what this means. Okay, so this is an oral consent script that you need to use for conducting interviews. Like, okay, so you inform your interviewee that you are a capstone student from Rutgers University. This interview is conducted for the purpose of completing a capstone project under supervision of certain professor. And this is to understand, certain topic, and the interview is not going to be longer than 30 minutes. So you will not ask any identifying information from them. Then you make sure that you ensure them that there will be no foreseeable risks to participation in the study, and they might or might not receive any direct benefit from taking part in this study, because you are not allowed to give them, financial incentives or something like that. And participation in the study is 100% voluntary. So they can choose not to participate. They can withdraw any time during, the interview process without any penalty. And of course, they can choose not to answer any questions that they do not feel comfortable answering. So if you have any questions about the study, you can contact, you can have them contact your capstone professor. You provide the professor's name, office phone number, or email address. And also, you provide them with the Rutgers IRB contact information, just in case they have any questions about, you as the researcher, and about their own rights as a research subject, or any research procedure. So they can contact IRB administrator at Rutgers University at this number. So once you finish reading this oral consent, right, if they agree to participate, then you can get started with your interview. So this is the standardized, form that you need to use for collect interview information, interview data. And these are the research questions, the interview questions that we provided in the standardized model interview guide. So basically, these questions are appropriate and helpful if you conduct program evaluation. So I understand for certain students who are going to do interviews for their capstone, but their topic is not program evaluation, these questions probably are not appropriate. So please talk with your professor to find out whether you would be able to use these so that you will be covered under course level IRB approval. So then some of the categories of data information that would not require IRB review. So we do have, each semester, we have many students who do not have to worry about the IRB issue. It's just because their data information are either existing secondary, public data information, or their data information is not about human beings at all. So these are some of the categories of data information that will not require you to worry about IRB review. For example, if you use those public de-identified data sets like census data, like general social survey, world value survey, it's 100% public and 100% de-identified. You know who are the responders to those questions, right? Then you're 100% safe, that you can just use the data information to run maybe a regression without having to worry about IRB. If you are doing analysis of the data information that is about, say, programs, organizations, that does not involve any interaction with human beings during the data, collection procedure, I think you will be safe as well. I will give you an example. One of my capstone students, he conducted a capstone project, which is about the budget of his township. Okay, so once he obtained the approval to access the budgetary information of his township during the past maybe 20 years, he just started working on the data, which is not about any human beings because it's budget. And another student who actually conducted a research, I believe, e-government or something, on government website. So those transactions on the website, citizen participation on website. So those are digital data. Those are not data about human beings. So she was fine. She did not have to worry about IRB reviews. But I would say that talk with your professor to find out whether you need to do IRB review on your own, or you do not have to worry about it, or maybe you want to do the program evaluation that would allow you to be covered on the course level approval. Okay, so just in case that we still have students who need to go through the IRB process, I would say don't panic, because I did have students who went through the process, but you need to get started early, okay, because you need to prepare those documents, the research protocols, your city certificate, all those required materials, and then you submit them for approval. So this is the process. So first confirm if your study meets definition of human subject research. So for those students who studied budget, who studied, transactions on internet, their research is not about human subject. So they do not have to worry at all about this IRB thing. Then you need to complete, if your research actually is about human subject, or about, would involve human subject during data collection or data analysis process, then you will have to, you will have to complete a city training program. Then you select your review type based on your studies risk level. Remember the different review types? Let me go back to remind you the 3 IRB level, IRB review levels. The first is the full board review. The second is the expedited review, and the third is exempt review. That's done. Okay. Then you submit your protocol for IRB review online, e-IRB, at Rutgers website. So you need to complete upload all documents. These would include your review form, it's exempt form, or expedited, or full board review form. Your this form should be approved and signed by your capstone professor, who's going to be your co-investigator. Then the research protocol, that is, you will have to provide a kind of the outline of your research project, and the informed consent form, research instruments, if applicable, such as your survey questionnaire or your interview questions, and the copy of your city certificate or any other supporting materials, if applicable, because the IRB sometimes would ask you to provide additional materials. Okay. So just so you know that IRB, they do have deadlines for submission. I will get started with the easiest one, the exemption submissions. Okay, so it's on weekly basis. So if you submit by Wednesday 4 p.m., then it's guaranteed that your IRB submission will be sent to reviewers on the following Monday. So this is the shortest turnaround time of all the 3 different review types, exemption type. Then expedited type, again, it's weekly. Okay, anything submitted before 4 p.m. on Wednesday is guaranteed to be sent to reviewers on the following Monday, but it might take longer for the reviewers to make the decision. The most difficult, of course, is the full board submission. Well, this is monthly review process. So, for example, these are the deadlines for each month. It was yesterday, so it already passed. We already passed this month's deadline. For next month, if you submit by 4 p.m. on the 14th of next month, February, then they will your submission will be distributed or discussed at the IRB meeting, which is the following month, on the 7th of March. So you can see that actually it takes much longer. And this does not mean that a decision will certainly be made on this date. No, it might take much longer for them to make the decision, okay? So that's, as you can see, why I said that I do not suggest you work on a topic that would require you to do a full board IRB review. So that is the reason. And but as I said, that you should talk to your capstone professor like the first thing in the semester, maybe the first week of the semester, to let him or her know what capstone topics that you will be working on, and what type of data collection methods that you're going to have, you would like to propose, so that the two of you work together to determine whether you need to do the IRB review. So I think basically this is today's presentation. I would take questions, but let me just show the last page. So these are some of the contact information that you might need if you want to contact us. Our program director and capstone professors for different sections. And we also have Dean Burkers, who actually is here today with me. If you have any questions, you can contact us by using the contact information on this last page of the PowerPoint, which is going to be posted at SPAA website. All right, so I would take questions. Let me see if they have any questions here. Okay, yes.
If I wanted to send out a survey instrument via online to a group of people, would that require an IRB review?
I believe, yes.
So
yeah.
even if I don't see them, even if I don't see the people,
Mm-hmm.
do it online, I
still yes, subject. Yes, because potentially even if you do not see the people, but you have their email address, and you would be able to link the email address and maybe the IP address to their responses. So, but your case would fit in the exempt category, but still you need to submit IRB for online survey.
If there was an online survey to individuals asking about their organizations, does your school district have used Google Apps? Does that still qualify as something the same category as you just addressed?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Because for those who do online survey, they still are required to do IRB review, but most likely the exempt type, because I did have students before who did exempt type, and he did an online survey, collect the data information through online. He went through the process. He got approval very quickly. The reason is because he prepared the documents very well. He provided all the information the IRB wanted to know about his research, his data collection methods, his way of protecting the privacy and the rights of the participants, that is, survey respondents to his survey. Yeah. Yes.
In an attempt to stay within the guidelines of IRB, I'm in a position where I want to do research that requires data collection for minors. What if I didn't obtain their personal information and kept it anonymous? Could I collect data from students, minors, without associating their personal information to the study?
Well, anyway, you still need to do IRB review, but which categories of review, right? You need to discuss first with your professor, but I believe any type of data collection involving minors would go through the full board review. But please just double check with your professor. Yeah, that's why I suggested, do not. Anyway, you will have to get, parental approval by using the consent form. You will have the parent to sign the form to allow you to obtain data information about or from their children. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes that means you probably will have to modify your not your topic, but your research question, the focus of your topic a little bit, so that you do not have to go through the long IRB review process. So let me see if any questions from online participants. Okay. Okay. Yes. So let's see what question the student has. Any other questions?
One thing I would just remind you, if you haven't taken the city portion yet, it does take some time. It takes a couple of hours at minimum to get through it. So if you haven't done it yet, it's a great way to spend Martin Luther King Day. Sit down, go through, get it done before you go to class. It's not something that you can knock off in an hour. It takes longer than that.
So Dean Verkus just suggested that you take some time before our semester officially starts to at least navigate the city website and even the training sessions. Yeah. Although I said it's doable to complete the training within 1 or 2 days, it's doable, but you it's still there is a time commitment you need to make. Okay, so I'm interested in conducting my research on Newark public schools. Which method of IRB will this qualify under? Okay, so my response to this question is, now I understand that the topic is on Newark public schools, but it would depend on your questions as well as your data collection methods. For example, if you are, because in previous semesters I have students who just use public information on Newark public schools, like those standardized test scores, which are publicly available information, then they do not have to go through IRB. But if you're going to conduct, maybe you want to conduct interviews with some administrators in the public school system, then you might be covered under course level IRB approval. But if you would like to conduct interviews with teachers, about their attitudes or motivation or perception, etc., that might require your individual IRB submission. So if I am going to do a policy assessment on housing in New York City, and I want to use public information that has been collected on the topic, what IRB category would my capstone fall under? Would that be sufficient? I think if you use public information which are publicly available, you should be fine, because those public information, once made available to general public, they are de-identified. So you should be able to use the public information without going through IRB review. You are welcome. But as I said, although I responded to those, specific IRB review questions, I still strongly recommend and suggest that you talk with your professor to make that final decision, because if you are not in my section, I think your professor would be the final authority that you should talk to. Okay, any further questions from the audience and from our online audience? Okay, one more. Great. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just really quick, and I'm just I just want to make sure I understand this. So,
Okay.
in one of the examples where someone asked about collecting data on, say, Newark Public School, and you said if the information is already public, right, you don't have to go through an IRB process. So if someone wanted to analyze, and it's not me, but if someone wanted to analyze test scores, and, on the New Jersey State Department of Education website, they break test scores down by counties and districts. And so that information, you wouldn't have to go through an IRB process, because if it doesn't identify individual students.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's a good example. So if you go to the New Jersey State Department of Education website, they provide all those public, school district information, standardized test results, by school district, by county, right? So those information are 100% public, de-identified, and oftentimes aggregate, I believe. It's not about a single student, but maybe about a grade within a school, right? So it's very safe for you to use that information for your capstone analysis, and you do not have to worry about IRB. Okay, the CD certification I have completed previously in another class, that I'd be able to use certificate for my capstone, I think. Yes, I think if you have recently completed CD training and have obtained the certificate, you should be safe. But I think that certificate should be obtained within the past 3 years, because we do require the refresher course for every 3 years. So I believe you it is one of your professors in SPAA professors. So yes, you are good. Yes, please, you just upload the 2-page PDF certificate for your professor to give you grade on that. Okay, yeah. Okay, completed last year. Great. Okay, I was going to ask that question as well. Thank you. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
Question in the audience here.
Okay. Yes.
Just building off your question, that applies to survey data that's already collected, right? It's made public. Does it have to go through IRB review?
Okay. That's a good question. The survey data. What do you mean? Can you?
Like in a poll, like people are asked in a poll a certain question. That's made public. We don't have to go through. As long as we're not the one actually conducting the research, right?
Correct. Okay. Correct. But make sure you use the how to say, not the raw data, but it's not the aggregated data, because there are certain survey data information that have been aggregated and published somewhere. 40% of our respondents said yes to this question, while 50 said no, and 10 not sure. Those are aggregated, responses, which probably are not appropriate for your capstone, for your research project, but of course you can use that information as a reference. Okay, any additional questions? Last call. Dean Burgers, do you have any additional comments or suggestions you would like to make?
The only thing that I can think to add on is when you think about IRB, it's really designed to help protect the participant, the person who's being asked the question, the person who's being given the survey. So if you're trying to identify, do I have to do IRB or not, think about, are these individuals that I'm talking to, if the information that you collected got out, are they at risk in any way, shape, or form? If the answer is yes, then yes, you have to do IRB. And that's really to protect the person you're interviewing, the person who's answering the survey. So if someone can be identified through your research, then yes, you need to do IRB. If it's public data, if it's in no way connected to an individual, like you can't find an individual associated with that public data, then no, you don't need IRB. They've already been protected. That information has already been hidden. So that's a good way to help navigate through how you're looking at research. So if you're thinking about minors and prisoners, those are protected populations when it comes to research because they're at elevated risk. So that's why whenever you say those words, minors and prisoners, it's going to be an automatic IRB review. They need the extra protection.
Yeah. And also, some of the students might obtain data from some organizations or, government agency, but usually, if they are granted the right to access the data information, basically those data information has already been de-identified. So that probably is another case that you want to discuss with your professor to see if you're okay. Right. So, but I do not think that I will answer that question directly. But please talk with your capstone professor. Okay. If no further questions, then I think we can call it a day. And thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to working with you. If you have any, additional questions throughout the semester, feel free to send us emails. Thank you so much.